What's going on, guys? Philip with Trade Genius. Hope you guys are having a great trading week. I wanted to touch bases on Litecoin. Litecoin, kind of the little brother to Bitcoin. Some have called it the silver to Bitcoin's gold. And I think over the long haul, that's probably going to play out and be true. Right now, Litecoin is somewhere between 9 and 10% of Bitcoin's value. I think what we'll start seeing is people might look at Bitcoin as getting pricey. They may be a little more prone to maybe get into owning more Litecoin at a lower cost. And the reason why that's viable is because there's a lot of things that Litecoin can do ultimately that will be interchangeable with the Bitcoin blockchain. So they've already enabled SegWit. They've already done atomic swaps. They have Lightning tested on it and it's functional. And so I think it opens up doors for it to have possibilities as a payment channel, which if you've listened to some of my other videos, I think ultimately Bitcoin becomes the big store of value, and then it's complemented by payment channels. So they've had some Asian I want to say stores online that are transacting in Litecoin. So Litecoin may not garner all the attention, but behind the scenes there's a lot going on with the technology, and I think that you're going to probably see an announcement, maybe not next month or the month after, but I think you'll see something where they're doing things and making agreements and arrangements. Charlie Lee, not the greatest marketer, but there's a reason why he left Coinbase, and that was, I think, to focus on the growth of Litecoin. So with that being said, let's take a look at the price chart, because ultimately that's where the rubber meets the road. So if we take a look at the daily chart on Litecoin, so all day every day, if you ever get a price dip down to this long-term trend line, this dash line, that's just a great spot to add. Now historically, what's happened, right, since we got into this bull market back in April, and a lot of alts joined the bull run at that time, we had this great looking chart running up, but ultimately it would get kind of away from this trend line and pull back, get away from it and pull back. Really, September was interesting because it looked like it was getting ready to just do this huge run. I thought this pullback here would go higher, and then we would see an Ethereum type run. What ended up transpiring, though, is because of all the forking issues, majority of the market was getting out of other holdings, getting into Bitcoin until they made it past the SegWit issue. So that manifested itself in more of a alt bear market, ultimately retracing to this fib buy zone, which buoyed it, and now we're moving back away from it. So if we're looking at past performance, we'd be looking over here saying, well, and I think a lot of bears might be looking at this going, well, we're back above this trend line pretty high, and it's time to get short. I think, though, market dynamics have changed somewhat, and what we're seeing is, the Coinbase has grown so much that the coins on there are going to get a lot of attention. So it's going to be Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and those because there's a lower barrier of entry to get to those coins. A lot of people have access to that platform. So I think now with the forking being out of the way, all the fork issues, I think Litecoin now, we might see a change of character here, looking on the daily, and we don't get this return back to this trend line. What I'd key in on for that is, we made this high, we had this pullback. This was part of that Coinbase crash that we talked about yesterday, and we actually did get to a fib buy zone. So this area here of $76.91, $77, that was a good spot. And what now I'd be looking for is this breaking above this $93. If we break above 93, I think we're going to start seeing some of these longer term fib targets. So the one I really was keen in on, and if you're in the room, we've been looking at this 118 area, maybe a little shy of it. You want to set a target in front of that, but that's a big move. That's from this, basically the start of this bull run, from back when this thing was down in the $4 range to the high, and and now we're bouncing. We pulled back in that September time frame, pulled back, held, grinded higher, and now breaking out again and made a new high. So I expect this to, I think there's a good chance this holds in this area of the $75 to $80 area, and we see this breach of this $93. I think we go higher, and then we tag these upper fib targets, and probably a pullback, probably down to this $100 level would probably be a decent spot to get long again. So I know there's a lot of people that are eyeballing Litecoin, and I thought I would just give a little bit more of a in-depth update on where we are as far as the big picture on the daily. And I think with the technology that's that they're working on, I think that, and this coin's been around a long time, since 2011, so not many alts can say that. So I think it's in a good spot, in a good position, and even if this doesn't hold and you got some here, I would hold it and I would add along this trend line. I think it does have a lot more upside. I think in Bitcoin terms, we're probably looking at a 9 to 10% range. I think ultimately, though, as this whole thing progresses, I think ultimately you could probably see Litecoin at 20 or 25% of the price of Bitcoin over time. I don't know that we'll see that next year, but over time I think it's definitely achievable. Before we go, let's look at the big dog, Bitcoin, and this is a daily chart. So we had the Bitcoin, the Coinbase crash, and now we've basically had two dojis, and dojis are candle formation, basically long wicks, small body, and that's a sign of indecision. And so what I'm looking for today is if we break above this 10,250 area, or 10,200, I should say. I think if we do that, I think we were a pretty good sign that this bottom is in, and I would be looking to see if we can test all-time highs and break higher. I do think we do break higher before the end of the year, and I'm looking at these fib targets of 1250, 12,353, and 12,894. I think that's totally attainable before the year end, but we'll see what happens. If we do roll over, I would be looking at a breach of this 9,200 level, and then that would bring in this area here of about 8,500 area, and I would expect that to hold. You could even go down to 8,000, but at 8,000 to 8,500, if we did get down there, I would expect a lot of volume to come in, and that would to hold. But I'm leaning toward this being the bottom here at 85.61 on Coinbase. Although other exchanges didn't get that low, I think they got down to like 9,200, but Coinbase locked up. Coinbase has just finished their maintenance period about an hour or two ago, and interestingly, during that time, altcoins all rose because Coinbase has so much volume on Bitcoin. So it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic. When Coinbase is taken away from the equation, the alts went up. So that tells you a lot of money is going into Bitcoin and through Coinbase. So little interesting note there. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe and like button if you appreciate what we're doing here. And if you want any of our indicators, on the daily here, signal long here ahead of this move up, signal long here, and we're still in a long signal. But on the daily, it picks pretty good spots to get long and then exits you out, and does a good job of exiting out ahead of pullbacks too. So anyway, if you're interested in that, links below. So thanks for watching again, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.